We were talking before we looked at the camera. Anyway, welcome everybody. Welcome to Geopolitics in Conflict Live. So we are so excited to be here. Good to see you, Ross.
It's nice to be back.
Well, I know somebody has been asking about you.
Well, I've got a number of projects that we're doing for the website and for our members, and I've been devoting a lot of time and effort to that.
That's why I said to them, Ross is busy doing some research. So Ross is here. So here he is. So well, it is so good to see you. How's your week?
It's actually been an excellent week. We've done a number of shows this week, and so many of the pieces that we predicted a year ago are coming true today.
Yeah. And the shows you're referring to, those the one on the other platform. So that's what Ross is meaning for that. So, all right. Well, then let's, as excited as we are with our viewers, because we haven't done this here on YouTube for a long time.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's been a while. Okay. So we're so excited to be here. Anyway, we're going to be talking about a topic. Then, like we always do, guys, we'll open up the floor for you after like 20, 25-minute conversation. We'll open up for your questions and we'll just go from there. So,
well, how about we go to headlines around the world?
Let's do that, Russ. That's always important and fascinating.
Now, I'm going to try not to laugh out loud at some of these. They're so ludicrous. But anyway, the United States is prohibiting Moscow from paying its debts with its dollar balances in U.S. banks.
Well, indeed, that following the sanctions, of course, on the financial aspect. Speaking of that, before I forget, which a lot of us here in the West do not know, that the Russians' rubles have been pegged to the dollar, to the gold.
Yes.
So, which means the value of the ruble now bounced back. So, well, basically, the U.S., yes, they did prohibit Russia from paying the debt. It's about, I have the figure here for you guys. It's about $649.2 million. So, and the Russians said, well, sure, if you don't want to take the dollar, here's the ruble. That's what we're paying with. Take it or leave it. So I found it very interesting.
Well, as you know, Nancy Pelosi has announced the Speaker of the House is going to Taiwan. China issues a warning to the U.S. about Pelosi's trip to Taiwan.
Yeah. That is not confirmed yet. The plan is she's supposed to go there. Not sure yet. Her office, I just checked on it this morning on my way here. That is not confirmed yet. I will be doing a brief analysis on it this afternoon at 5 o'clock, if I'm not mistaken. So make sure you tune in into that, guys, because it will be live. And I'll provide some information regarding the big picture of the geopolitical landscape in that part of the world, because it is very, very crucial. And the trip, if it happens, it's not a good thing at this time.
Well, there's an unconfirmed rumor that Nancy Pelosi is proven positive for COVID, which might be just an out.
Yeah. So that's the idea of we will see. We will see.
United States has increased its oil imports from Russia 43%.
Yeah, indeed, despite the ban, which a lot of Americans do not know, and we do have a link for this, and we'll post it for you guys just to know. Yeah, about 43% of imports coming from Russia of oil to the United States here. So basically, the way I read this is that the Europeans will be holding the end of the stick for all this. That's how I see it. So we basically play out the Europeans, and the Europeans not going to have to pay the price for it. So.
There's a place in the world that people have heard of, but they don't know where it is.
Yeah.
It's Sri Lanka. And the Sri Lanka Solomon Islands troubles, we really need to take a look at.
Yeah, there are some upheavals going on, demonstrations in both Solomon Island for one reason and Sri Lanka for another. Whether Sri Lanka, I think, has to do with the economy, and even the president didn't want to step out or resign, whatever, step down, whatever. So there are now demonstrations going. Usually Sri Lanka is not it's a poor country, but still, with demonstrations happen there, that's usually not a good sign. In the case of Solomon Islands, because you have Australia supposed to be policing that part. Well, Australia couldn't police itself. I don't quite understand why. But here is the thing, just for you two guys, for you guys now to know what's going on. There's a possibility that the United States might put up a base in Solomon Island. and now it's creating these tensions internally, and the locals do not want that.
Well, let's see if we can do the count. 881.
One.
Well, should we move on to our topic of the day?
Exactly. Before I forget, just to highlight the idea of this upcoming trip of the speaker, there's also now a military drill between Japan and Philippines. Yes, I was just shocked. I'm gonna dig into that and find out what it is, and we'll let you know. All right, let's get on our topic. It never ceases to amaze me, Ross, how interesting times we live in right now.
And how much information is available if you do the right research and you know how to look.
That is correct.
Wow.
That is correct. It just, you have to differentiate between what is facts and what is not.
Yeah.
So that's well, anyway, let's talk about the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Imran Khan. I do remember I did a brief video on it live, whatever, but this is, we want to do this as an update for you guys, because at that time they were waiting for the Supreme Court to make a decision.
Yeah.
Well, the Supreme Court made a decision yesterday, and the decision was that Imran Khan's decision to dissolve the parliament was considered illegal and against the law. So that puts him in a very awkward position. As a matter of fact, he only had two options left. One of them is either to resign, which I don't see him doing that. And second one is he's going to be facing now the no vote of confidence in Parliament as of Saturday, actually tomorrow.
Oh,
at 10 o'clock, at 10
So-
a.m.
so-
their time.
The parliament's reconvened.
That's correct. So he has to face that. And since he doesn't have a majority, you can just see what the outcome's going to be. And this one confirms, just another example, that since the beginning of Pakistan in 1947, no PM has ever served 5-year term. Never. So,
And unfortunately, Imran Khan's going to be, looks like it's headed that direction.
yeah. Well, this is why it matters. It matters to know what the Supreme Court decision is because now he's going to be faced with that vote. And this is, by the way, which one of our viewers point this out. And I want to say thank you to the individual who pointed this out. This is why we're seeing the difference between the case in India and the case of Pakistan. The case of India is because Narendra Modi has the majority in Parliament. Imran Khan now doesn't have that. And this is why India, as a matter of fact, just yesterday, India said, we are not cutting our trade with Russia,
Right.
despite what the US is saying. And we are not going to be able to any pressure whatsoever.
Well, Imran Khan's in a very difficult position. He's lost the support of the army.
Yeah.
The coalition that he had fell apart.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's looking for the popular vote, possibly.
Yeah. And this is why, and we're going to have to be very careful before we say, if you guys remember when I did that live, I did ask the question, who might be behind this? We couldn't jump to conclusions quickly. The reason being because Imran Khan is also becoming a politician. Yes, he was a cricket player, whatever, but you will learn over time how the political landscape, how to navigate, And for me, statements that he issued that, but it was the US, well, are we sure about that? Yes, it was a memo by his name, Donald Liu, that indicates that the implications for Imran Khan, if he doesn't step up, will be very serious. How we usually read into a message like that. That's very threatening language. You don't use that. But on the other hand, we could not assume that it was only the US or whatever country that might be.
Right.
Because if he wants to mobilize the popular support, he's going to have to say something to that effect.
Yeah. And to many people, it's believable that the United States would do that. Whether it's true or not is really something else, though.
That is true. And this is why we just have to be very careful before we issue a definitive statement saying that country A is the culprit. We have to have the facts for that.
Right.
And so far, things didn't pan out exactly 100%. I am not saying that it might not be the case. It could be, knowing the history. But we have to be very careful not to jump to conclusions.
Well, everything we really attempt everything to be evidence-based,
Yeah.
not our opinion. And when it is our opinion, we say it out loud in words, this is my opinion.
Exactly. The only thing that I am confident and comfortable saying is that I'll take other events that took place around the same time when these events start to unfold.
Yeah.
Like, for example, the attempt assassination on the Kazakhstani's president, Toryakov. You take the bombing that took place in Afghanistan and Pakistan. Then, you take all this into considerations and you see, okay, where this is headed in that direction. But it's still, we can't just jump quickly. The one point you brought up, Ross, about the army. The army maintained a neutrality, actually, believe it or not. Yeah, I did check on it last night. The army, despite what we hear, did maintain a neutrality, didn't get involved in. Usually the army has a say into the political matters of the country, because Pakistan, as you may know, has been around under the military for almost 30 years. So they do have a history of the military. I don't see the military taking over in this one here. And the reason being because the opposition, and I think I have the name of the individual that is going to be, because now what's going to be happening, Ross, is that a new PM will be appointed till August 2023 before they run the elections again. So, and Imran Khan could run again.
So Imran Khan would have to resign, but someone would be appointed. Is that the
idea? No, he's not going to resign.
Well, he could be put out.
It's one of the options he has.
I understand. Yes.
I don't see him resigning, Ross.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he could be put out by a vote.
By the vote.
By the vote.
Yeah, he's going to have to face it now. Because if Khan loses the no confidence vote tomorrow, the opposition will appoint the prime minister, who will serve till August 2023.
So he actually made it to almost 3.5 years.
Yeah, but that's not 5.
Yeah, right.
That's usually where the sticky points in Pakistani politics. The other thing has to do with the ISI role into all this. ISI play a role. And by the way, just to a quick correction here that I misspoke last time. I meant that General Kiani, Ashraf Kiani, he was the head of the army, not the ISI. I kind of was speaking a little bit too fast. And no, he was not. He was the head of the army, General Ashraf Kiani. The reason I know it because I was still in Washington at that time. And I know his close relationship that he had with Admiral Mullen, who was the Joint Chief of Staff for the United States. So just to correct that. So the role of the ISI, well, not just for those who have not watched that briefing I did before, ISI was established in 1940, January 1st, 1948. That's how long it is. It is well wired. Its budget is classified like any other major intelligence services. We do have it here in the United States, the Central Intelligence Agencies and NSA's budgets and all those are classified. And but ISI is very interesting dynamics, And actually, I do believe that part of the turmoil that's going on in Pakistan right now, beside the trip that Imran Khan made to Russia, and the support not to sanction Russia, has to do also with the tension that happened a year ago between the Prime Minister's office and the army regarding the appointments of the ISI chief. They call them DG, the Director General of the ISI. Well, at that time, back then, Imran Khan wanted to appoint a new ISI. The chief of the army, General Bajwa, wants to maintain Lieutenant General Faiz Hamid. He's now the Peshawar Corps commander, which is usually that post is very crucial if you want to move up to become the army chief.
Okay.
Because ISI chief is always a 3-star general. The army chief is a 4-star general. So we have almost the same for us here. For example, sometimes the director of the DIA, the Defense Intelligence Agency, is 3-star general. Sometimes you could have an NSA director that could be a 3-star general, but the level of that. But you don't make it to Joint Chief of Staff unless you are a 4-star general. You never see, at least in our system, you never see Joint Chief of Staff a 3-star general. It's always either 4-star or admiral, which admiral the equivalency for. So the point in all this is that the ISI relations with the military and the government is kind of, it's one of those delicate balances, and this is where it's very concerning for me personally, knowing what I know about Pakistan, and I spent time in Afghanistan, so I'm very familiar with how things are in Islamabad and Rawalpindi and Peshawar and all that. It's very concerning. It's concerning in a way that if you throw a country like Pakistan, nuclear country, then a country that is, there are certain groups, without mentioning the name here, and you guys know what I'm referring to here, because we'll get moved out of if we mention that. So you know what it is. They are based in Pakistan, right. And as a matter of fact, they are under the protection of the ISI. So it's a very intricate dynamics. Then you top all this with the issue of Kashmir, of course, with India. So I truly hope, for the sake of their peace and peace of everyone, especially in Southeast Asia, that the Pakistan and India could resolve their differences and figure out a way how to fix the problem. So,
I've talked to any number of people from India or from Pakistan, and they're saying, we, the people, don't have a problem.
No, the people don't.
I mean, they even intermarry, and it doesn't seem to be much of a problem. They're going, okay, then what's the issue here?
Yeah, you're absolutely
between
correct.
Governments.
You're absolutely correct. It's the government. What's the same for us here in the U.S.? Do American people? It's like when you hear the U.S. embark on some foreign policy. Is it us? No, it's not. It's the government. So same thing. But I do hope, literally, if India and Pakistan could figure out a way of how to, because they've been engaged in and this is where history comes full circle, and the importance of understanding history, especially when it comes down, for example, to the relationship between India and Russia.
Yeah,
because Russia stood by India in 4 wars. Russia stood by. Yeah, it's a long history, even we're back during the Soviet Union era, and this is why, in the case of India, despite what the U.S. was asking them, they said, no, we're going to maintain buying oil from Russia, and we maintain trade. And plus, Russia is their main, to India, it's their main defense supplier.
And we know that if you're going to maintain equipment that you got from Russia, you got to have maintenance parts. Where are you going to get them? Well, that's pretty clear.
Yeah, that is true. And now when you take a turmoil like in Pakistan, political one that is, we're not talking social yet, but economically, Pakistan is already running into some issues economically. The IMF now is blocking the $6 billion loan that was supposed to give them. And when you start having people looking for food and we all know which direction that takes. It's a human nature, isn't it?
It's going toward chaos. Absolutely.
I mean,
when you've got nothing to lose, you've got nothing to lose, even if you lose your life.
You're absolutely correct, Russ. And this is where my big concern now, when you consider what's taking place in Sri Lanka, the demonstrations there, and so it's not a pretty picture as to how did Imran Khan stepped out of the line by challenging the Constitution. I do not know. I'm not there to know, but this is why they have a Supreme Court, and I am sure they will respect the ruling of the court. This is what their constitution calls for. If the Supreme Court decides that yes, indeed, he broke the law, then whatever the next step is going to be. The only thing I am concerned about personally, if you destabilize Pakistan, it's not pretty.
Well, will it destabilize the region?
It could.
Yeah.
It could. I will not rule that out, especially in a neighboring country, the other one that we just left from.
Yeah.
No, it's just very concerning to me personally. This is where I see the challenge, and I hope they can figure it out. That's why he only had two options: whether he will resign or not. I don't see it, but tomorrow they're gonna have the vote at 10 a.m. So I'll be watching to see what the
Oh, it's coming quick.
And that's how fast they're moving. Now, I don't foresee the military taking over, and it won't, because it will not look good. Optics,
Right.
Okay. The big picture, it will not look good if the military took over. Now, you may have your opinion about General Bajwa, how he is, whatever. I can't judge the guy. I know, all I know is that I know he has some assets in the UK. That doesn't make him a bad guy
At all.
because if you can own assets anywhere else in the world, that doesn't make you bad. Where the challenge is when he won against Imran Khan's statement, because Imran Khan ran on anti-US. General Bajwa is pro-US, so you can't just see where that tension. Yeah, and military and civilians, and this is when one of the questions that many were asking.
Yeah.
Who rules Pakistan? So,
it's complicated.
It is complicated. So, and for us in the West to just say, oh, they are bad or they are good or whatever. No, we can't jump to that because we don't understand the intricacies of how the society is set up.
Yeah.
There are historical events that unfolded since 1947, since their independence, have always been in turmoil. I remember the stories when I was a kid. I remember about the Al-Haq when his plane was blown up in the air. I remember about Bhutto. I remember about Chaudhry when he was the PMs. All of them went through turmoil. Nawaz Sharif of the last one. Before him, Pervez Musharraf. They all have none of them ever served a 5-year term. And that tells you right there the complexities of the intricacies between the civilians and the military. And the military has a say into the foreign policy of Pakistan.
Well, from what we can tell, Imran Khan has an uphill battle here.
A major one.
Yeah.
Major one. And there are those who suggested that Imran Khan should get rid of General Bajwa. No, you can't do it. You can't, and it won't be easy. And he's gonna, if he ever thought of that back then, that's putting that sentence on his life. Basically, that's what it would. Yeah, that's how crazy things can get. Power.
Yeah.
When people get into power, you will know more than anyone else, Ross, psychologically what power does to people.
It's intoxicating.
So we have noticed in the Ukraine conflict that's going on right now, so forth. So it will be very, very interesting to see. I'll be watching for tomorrow to see what the outcome will be, because he doesn't have the majority, so you can see the writing on the wall.
Yeah.
The question B is now, what's next? What is next after that? How the country is going to sort of maintain its cohesiveness and its stability, shall we say? Because when you have a social breakdown, because Imran Khan has a lot of supporters also, a lot.
I'm really surprised to see his 200,000 person rally. That was a lot.
Yeah, and that's just the beginning. If things go the other direction, it's hard to tell. So we're gonna be watching for what's going on with that, and we'll provide you some brief and so forth. So, should we go to the questions? All right, we're gonna open up the floor for you guys. Just please make sure you write questions so we know it's a question, and we just go from there. Oh, there's the Ross. Can you see that super sticker there? There we go.
Oh, thank you. Rosick?
Yeah, it's Steven. It's
Steven
Steven Rosick. Thank you very much for
Thank
your
you,
super
yes.
sticker.
Okay, one more.
Just close that
Cool.
laptop. Yeah.
Oh.
All right. The next
All right. Let's see. Okay, ZZ. Thank you so much. Do you know, when I do the live briefing, he always give us super stickers. So thank you so much for your support. We truly appreciate it. You know, I just enjoy the interaction with our viewers. It's just
Well, one of the things to be impressed with is the quality of the questions. A number of these people are truly informed as to what's going on, and their questions are legitimate questions for the whole world to be questioning and answering.
Indeed. So here's a question. Can you see that, Ross?
Not well enough.
No. Okay, let me see here. All right, Beryakov. Good to see you, Beryakov. At the current U.S. domestic politics on Clinton investigation and Hunter matter, will Biden eventually get booted and Kamala Harris, stressed by Obama, of course, steered rather by Obama, of course, will become the next POTUS?
Oh, God.
No, I don't see that happening. I don't see it because most likely, unless there is a health issue for the president, the president of the United States will be shielded from any investigation till the end of the term, So that's why I don't see that happening right now. But it is problematic. The content of that laptop, it's not pretty. So unfortunately, we can't talk too much on it here. We probably will do something on it on the other platform. So let's say thank you to Moketsi. See, Hakadi, thank you so much for your super sticker. I appreciate it. Yeah, Beryakov, it's I don't see any changes unless a health issue happened. In other words, if something happened to the POTUS, then of course, the law suggests that Kamala Harris will become the next president. So, all right, let's see the next question. Modi, good to see you. Any relation to Narendra Modi? All right, question. Your gentleman intake about Pelosi visit to Chinese island on Taiwan. I will be doing a video on it later on at 5 o'clock, so we don't want to say too much about it. But here is for now. But here is the thing: is the timing of the visit. It's not a coincidence. The Philippines and Japan defense ministers meeting together and deciding on the dates for drills is not a coincidence. The Solomon Island turmoil is not a coincidence. So all this, it's coming now because remember, on Sunday is the 43rd anniversary of the US-Taiwan relations, even though they are not officials. But the big problem with all this now is that the United States just approved $95 million of weapon sales to Taiwan. So where is Nancy Pelosi going to Taiwan for? And remember, the trip is not confirmed yet. It is confirmed for Japan because she's going to make a stop in Japan.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But I will be doing a live stream on it at 5 o'clock. Next question is from Wind Waves. Good to see you. What evidence you have on U.S. oil imports? Yeah, I do have the evidence, and we will post it for you. The link that didn't come from the United States. So as we always say, we have the receipt, and we will provide it for you. I'll post it. So interesting, Ross. When I do the research, I always keep the resources.
Perfect.
Yeah, that was somebody one time read my Iran book, and you know what? The first thing they did, they went to the reference to see. That's how they knew whether it's legit or not. Okay, Bedroma, good to see you. Question: Saudis and Yemen, president of Yemen gave up his title. Yes, they assigned someone else to manage the affairs, and the Saudis going to provide funding for that. So it's one of those weird, because Yemen is a very complicated location as far as the turmoil that's going on, but we don't hear much about it.
With all the atrocities going on there, and we still hear nothing.
Yeah, and there are atrocities committed. You're talking about 2 million children have on the verge of famine. I mean, it's not a pretty if they only open up the doors for the true journalism, investigative journalism. You'll see it's sad. It's sad. But yes, indeed, Hadi, his name is Hadi, the president of Yemen, had assigned someone else now to manage the stuff. So. All right, let's see. David Levy, good to see you. What is your opinion about the human rights issue in Buka? Is there any truth to Scott Rader opinion that state Ukraine nationalists can be behind it? What will be the end game? That's a very loaded question. One is that Scott Rader was right. They took down his account on Twitter, which is shame on them, literally.
Yeah.
So shame. That just the guy's speaking the truth. Why would you? And you could start to question. Yeah, those images coming out, they are not true. As a matter of fact, I found out that the Pentagon couldn't confirm the stories.
That tells the story.
The story
actually.
right there.
Yeah.
So don't. We are working on something that we're gonna do on a different platform. We're gonna let you know about. You need to understand who Zelensky is. The world. It's not disclosed.
And it's going to be quite a revelation.
Yeah, you guys, and we're gonna do that and disclose to you. So the bottom line is, don't buy into that quickly because there are certain information that has been, misrepresented. All right, next question is from Sanjay Gimmer. I hope I pronounced it correctly. So, question: what consequence will emerge after explosion of Russia? Oh, I'm sorry.
Expulsion, yeah.
Expulsion. My bad. The question is, what would happen? Expulsion of Russia. Expulsion of Russia from
The human rights.
the human rights. Oh, no, that won't be much anyway. Because actually, it was only Canada that supported Canada, the human rights. You believe that?
Hypocrisy reigns supreme.
Yeah. I mean, when they had last time Saudi Arabia sit on human rights in the UN. It's a joke, UN, and I'll say it straightforward, not putting them down, whatever, but UN is toothless. It's spineless. They can't do squat. You hear
Right.
it's and this is why you see when the US proposed the sanctions on Russia, or if you look at the world map,
Yeah.
all the global south, entirely from Latin America across to Asia, none of them supported that. That just tells you right there. So Canada was the first to say, yeah, Russia should be removed. Well, and by the way, let's just make it clear here. We're not pointing fingers at all Canadians. We're talking about the Prime Minister's office. Trudeau. That's what we're talking about.
Right.
So for him to be talking about human rights, is he kidding himself or just he's oblivious to what's going on? It's just ridiculous. That's to me, it's hypocrisy at best. So nothing's going to happen to Russia. Russia, as a matter of fact, the Ukraine crisis now is expedited the shift of the geopolitical landscape. You notice that.
One of the things you and I have talked about off screen was this by design?
Yeah.
Because it's working.
Exactly. But at the same time, for them, the ruble, now you see the ruble is
Bounce right back.
Some countries in the East, India, Pakistan, China, Turkey, all of them, they're saying, no, we're going to maintain the trade. They are moving forward. And that's part of what that shift is all about. So the West is going to be creating whatever. Next question is from, look who is here, Athin Wu. We haven't seen him for a while. Good to see you, Athin Wu. Question, Nancy Pelosi, canceled her trip to Taiwan because of COVID or China's pressure? Do you think Venezuela could withstand U.S. offer to release certain sanctions to ditch Russia at global south? Well, let's start with the first. To my knowledge, the trip is not canceled yet. And I'll find out because it wasn't scheduled to begin with. It was just preliminary that she might stop in Taiwan, We weren't sure about that one. So as true because she got whatever. Yes, I did hear about that one. But I'm not sure exactly. Second part for Venezuela, no. Don't expect Venezuela to bow to the U.S. request, no matter what. Even if the U.S. said we will remove sanctions, they're not going to jeopardize their relationship with Russia. It's a long term. That's why they're not going to do it. Dayakar, ready? Good to see you. Question: is EU falling into U.S. economic trap? You are absolutely correct. As a matter of fact, the EU is suiciding its economy. They are realizing, because the US, I'm not laughing out of laugh, but I'm laughing because of the stupidity of the Europeans not to see far enough. The US, we end up having gas. We are delivering gas to Europe, 10 times the price that they were paying, and we're still getting oil from Russia.
So the U.S. gets the benefit while the Europeans pay 30% more or greater for energy and other commodities.
Yeah. Well, you look at right now, which you don't hear much about in UK, the inflation. I saw some articles from within UK. They're saying the inflation is only 6%. That's a lie. It's a double digit, same as we have here, and it's even worse in UK because some the people who are fasting and so forth, they couldn't find food.
Right.
Because there are certain foods you eat during this fasting month that the Muslims do and so forth. And the idea of where is this all from? Is the impact of where they are been following the we know that the UK is not an EU member, but it's still the shortages in energy and all that is impacting their inflation and economy. So yeah, the European Union is holding the end of the stick, basically. And they're gonna pay for it big time. So are we.
And it's already started.
It's already starting here.
Yeah.
So. All right, next question. Otro, good to see you. Question: do you believe Obama will manage to kick snail mentally, senile mentally, and fit Biden out? I don't quite understand the question. Do you?
Yeah. You think Obama's going to take over the presidency?
How?
Yeah, how? I don't see it at all.
No. Our system is set up that way. He can help from behind the scenes, but no. The system, the establishment won't allow that kind of stuff because you will start having a problem with who's in charge.
Right.
He served 2 terms, end of story. So I don't see that happening. Next question. Wong, did I pronounce it correctly?
Yeah.
W-O-N-G. Wong. Question: what is the possibility of a hot war in Southeast Asia around South China Sea? It's a valid and logical question, and I do see. If I am to gauge this, Ross, I do see I won't see the big trends, but I'm starting to see the trickles.
Yeah.
The drips, shall we say, towards that direction. It's because the idea of Taiwan now is watching what's going on in Ukraine, even for Philippines itself, and Japan to a degree. They are not saying this out loud, but they are questioning whether the US will be there for them in case, because both, in the case of Japan and Philippines, they are saying that they do have territorial issues with South China Sea, especially in the case of Japan regarding an island called Sukoma. I hope I pronounced it correctly, because that's been inhabited for forever, and the Chinese have been dealing with that since 1970. The Japanese are saying, no, that's been under Japan since 1895. So you can just see now these tensions, if it escalates to the next level, you're seeing a hot war could occur. China could also be wise in watching how the US is handling Ukraine, because what did the US or the European do for Ukraine?
Not much.
So that makes those countries, Taiwan and the like, think twice about it. So there's a possibility for that. Next question is Johanna. Good to see you. Should we be concerned about Germany's military spending? Well, concerned from which perspective? Germans have already decided to increase their defense spending.
Substantially, actually.
Yeah, but it's still the US that is paying the big portions of European defense. I'll say it straightforward. Europeans, not all of them, of course, but the majority, especially in the EU, are like the child who never grows up. That's basically what it is. Because Europe could have its own security.
Yeah.
Because with the case of the Ukraine issue, Europeans didn't want these tensions with Russia. It was the US that managed that one for them at their own expense. So now they're realizing, okay, what do we do next? Are they going to increase their defense spending, but at the expense of what?
And the German economy is now already in trouble because of this hyperinflation.
Yeah.
And even the government spokespeople are saying, we're really afraid of people are going to have a rising up of malcontent.
Yeah, well, because they're paying so much now in energy.
Yeah.
No, even Qatar produces a lot of gas. They said we can't provide what Russia does because the capacity in Qatar gas does not have enough. Europe needs about 50 billion cubic feet. You know how much Russia produces a year? About 300 billion cubic feet.
Ample amount.
So you can just see it doesn't take genius to figure this out. Europeans now is going to be paying 10 times that amount what they were paying before. Next question. HWH, good to see you. Is Quad and AUKUS the NATO equivalent in Asia? Not to that extent. Not to that extent. Rasim, I remember, Rasim, we talked about Quad that is going to be useless anyway. That was just a reaction. It was an emotional reaction from the West regarding, because here is the thing. What you need to understand about both AUKUS and Quad, its sole purpose is to contain China, which they won't be able to anyway. Look where Australia is, economically speaking. Yeah, India is taking a step back from the Quad because India was never convinced, in my opinion, was never convinced about this Quad thing because they're not going to risk it. They do have trade with Russia.
Mm-hmm.
And the markets in China still, despite what you hear, India still imports stuff from China.
Actually, quite a bit.
Yeah. So both the AUKUS and the Quad were nothing but a window dressing. Japan, what Japan can do anyway? Japan was ordered to sanction Russia, and they had to bow to the order because Japan cannot defend itself anyway.
Right.
So Japan, Australia, to me, they are spineless anyway. They can't do nothing. So no, it won't be the same equivalency. And because what the Europeans now finding out about NATO, that it could be part of where the problem is. So, next question. All right. Alimensin, I hope I pronounce it correctly. Where Russia began selling everything in ruble to non-friendly countries. If so, when? They already started.
We don't have to wait on this one.
They
already did it.
Yeah, they already started because this is why, and it's a great question, especially this one tackle the economy, but mainly from energy security. This is why Russia, it became clear to me personally, it was a shrewd move on their part financially to tag the ruble to the gold. And this is again where I keep up with the trend, what's going on. That takes me back to about 3 years ago.
When they took all the gold
from Venezuela, 2 full planes brought them over to Russia, and China 8 months later or a year later did the same when he brought a full plane of gold from Switzerland. And this is why both China and Russia decided they're going to trade in their currencies, bypass the entire SWIFT system, and you see in countries getting into that. India just decided to trade with Russia in rupees. Pakistan decide to trade with Russia in rupees.
We've been watching this for a while,
Yeah.
and seeing it sort of start, and now it's a flood.
Exactly. And the rubles, the Russian ruble, is bouncing back.
Yep.
So that's where I see it going. Next question is Yan Hao Kor. Good to see you. No. Question: is the EU even aware that the US is doing the opposite of what they are telling the EU to do by importing more Russian oil? What they have to be, what's the word? I don't want to be.
They must have blinders on.
Exactly.
Or they're not talking about it, but they must know it. I mean, we know it, and it's pretty obvious.
I was going to use a different word.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the European must be. Once again, I'll stay with my statement that the Europeans are the child that never grows up. So you always need to hold his hand or her hand and guide them through. Yeah. It doesn't take a genius to figure this out. And to them, yet, they knew, especially Germany knew that what they are doing, it's going to backfire on them. And they did it anyway. So soon you're going to be seeing people in the streets because the energy prices and the food prices going to be beyond. Europe is already, I reached out to some in Europe and asked, and those people I trust, they kind of like, no, things are getting a little bit expensive beyond what we have ever anticipated. And it's only going to get worse because now all the money that Germany, for example, that's going to have to allocate to whatever, have to be paid to the US for purchasing gas. Yeah. Some of them didn't realize that. They think that the US is going to just bankroll them or whatever. So.
Oh, good luck.
Yeah, it's a big mistake. Big mistake. They'll wake up eventually. Yeah. Rahma Mohammed Azman. Good to see you. Question: will Russia be included in G20? To my knowledge, yes. The Kremlin did indicate that the Russian president intend on attending the G20, which will be towards the end of the year in Indonesia. Speaking of Indonesia, Indonesia is importing now oil from Russia.
I wanted to whisper it
because
I think it's a secret.
Russia.
It's a secret. It's Russia.
Yeah, they did indeed. The sad part about Indonesia, when you think about the big picture of what's going on right now, how the Western powers really took advantage of Indonesia's natural resources. Yeah. So no, to my knowledge, he will, unless he doesn't want to, but I think he will go. Oh, Andrea Calderano, thank you so much for your super sticker. Appreciate it. I just don't, they're gonna attend the G20. So because before I read the question, one of the clauses inside the G20 is that no country can remove another one. They don't have the right to do that. Yeah, they don't have the right to do that. All right, the last working. Good to see you. Question: why did Switzerland, a country known for her unwavering neutrality, sanction Russia and destroy her reputation? Yeah, Switzerland is gone. Switzerland gone. The Switzerland you used to know back in the 70s and 80s. Switzerland now is no different than other countries. They went ahead and sanctioned the Russians as well because they were told to do so. So I don't consider them a neutral country anymore.
Not when they declare that. Sanctions against Russia. Yeah. They are not neutral.
It's a weak country anyway. So it doesn't have much weight in Europe anyway, except for its banking system. And the banking systems that has been very, very fraudulent.
Oh, yeah.
If we only know the amount of money that transits through the banks in Switzerland under the pretext of, transparency and all, that's nonsense. So yeah, Switzerland is gone. Oh, there's a super sticker from Johanna. Thank you very much for your super sticker. We appreciate it. I used to go to Switzerland in certain areas in Zurich and Valorbe and all that. It used to be nice. It's gone. Johanna, question. What will be the final blow to the US petrodollar? Oh my gosh.
We might be looking at it right now.
Well, I think the question refers to what would be exactly the action that will do that. And I think the action that will do that is if Saudi Arabia definitively decided we will sell oil in other currencies beside the dollar.
Wow.
That will be the nail on the coffin for the US.
Wow.
Yeah, because when you consider the dollar still strong on the global market, we're not going to deny this because it's the fact, it's still about 80%. But what you're starting to see now with alliances and countries considering their financial infrastructure to trade in other than the dollar, the Saudis' decision, if and when they move forward with that, that's going to be a nail on the coffin for them. So that's when it's going to happen. Next question will be from Adam. Good to see you, Adam. Question: are we seeing the slow death of the EU, end of globalization?
That's a really interesting question because we've been tracking that for a while.
Indeed, Russ, the EU is it's in its last leg as well, like the Western hegemony in general. What I do see coming up is the ASEAN bloc.
Yeah.
Only if they play their cards right, ASEAN will be the equivalent, because it's a $3 trillion economy. So you can see why. So the answer is yes. Super sticker from Andrea. Thank you so much, Andrea. Appreciate it. What happened if they accuse Russia of war crime? Well, no, they have to be an investigation. That's the thing. You can't just use the war crime loosely. And even if they do, it's going to take years before anything happens. Just last week, actually on Monday, if I'm not mistaken, the individual, the commander who was responsible for the genocide in Rwanda, the Jesuit, had just been put in trial in The Hague on Monday. And when was the genocide happen? 1994. So it tells you.
Bordering on 30 years.
Yeah, if they do this. And criminal court is losing credibility anyway, because here they are saying they need to investigate the Ukraine war crime. Well, how about the Yemen war crimes that's been committed there? How about the Tigray, that 400 to 500 million people die? 400 to 500,000 people die. So you can't have this double standard, You saying we stand for fairness. If you do stand for fairness, then fairness for all.
Not happening.
Yeah, but when you start cherry picking based on someone's skin color, based on someone's religious affiliation, political orientation, then you lose credibility. You have none. So, all right, let's see next question. Oh, super sticker from Golden Tiger.
Golden Tiger.
Thank you very much for your super sticker. I do see some comments from Golden Tiger. He does put some, and very interesting comments and questions and so forth. So, all right, Captain 101. Good to see you. What do you say about Zelensky's demand to reform UN and strip Russia veto power in the Security Council? What is he up to? I'm laughing because that tells me he is really a good comedian.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is. For him to come and dictate to the UN Security Council that has not been changed since the World War II when the things were established. Now he's just he's a comedian. And we're going to be doing a show specifically about him. You will be shocked to find out what we found out. So, unfortunately, we can't do it here. The one thing you need to know, besides the corruption and the $15 million that he acquired when he was just elected to office, and the residency in Tuscany, Italy, and you name it.
That's just a tip of an iceberg of what we've got.
But for now, with all this, and he's living in a bunker, he can't step out. Yeah, because they will target him if he steps out. So what kind of life is he? But he's a comedian. You need to understand this because it's very, very crucial. And comedians, and the best person to explain this to you is Elizabeth, believe it or not. And she's gonna do something special about this one to a degree on this platform, but on our membership, this is where we do the stuff for. And take my word for that. Elizabeth is knowledgeable about this field. I really tip my hat to her. And I'm not saying it to be Mr. Nice. I really tip my hat on her because understanding behavioral psychology, it's so crucial.
Oh, absolutely.
And this is exactly what Zelensky is doing.
Let's not give any more away. Babe.
That's it. Yeah. So,
We're out of time.
all right. We are out of time. We wish we could stay here longer. It's just we have other recordings to do. And we do have, before we forget, we do have, let me read this one here to you. We have a free live masterclass. Yes, speaking of masterclass, we're going to be doing a free masterclass for you guys if you're interested. And the masterclass will be about how to think like a geopolitical analyst. Don't miss this out because all of us, we're combining our brain power and providing you this free masterclass. It would be worth your time. Take my word for it, guys. So we want to say thank you. It was so good to see you, Ross, on this stage here.
Yes.
Yeah, we miss our viewers together. I'm somewhere asking, where is Ross? I say he's still here.
We're doing lots of other things.
He's busy with
Lots
the
of
research.
other things.
So we're so glad. We hope you find this this information very useful. And remember to join me at 5 o'clock for the live. I'm going to be talking about Taiwan, the Nancy Pelosi upcoming trip. And we look forward to seeing you next time, guys. As always, stay informed. Till next time.